Well, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And Glenn, do you want to address us?
Yep, I'll take off. So I got a couple of updates for you and then a couple other things. So first I wanted to give you a heads up that sounds like you guys are recruiting heavily to get new committee members. We had an application come in yesterday from someone I don't know if you guys recruited him or not, but so we have one in the queue, and I know there's at least one more that I think Keith had talked about. So that's out there, the N&E committee, and it's out there on our website and everything else. And I know you guys are recruiting hard because we want to get you guys some help. On the upcoming, 4th of July is right around the corner, and I believe you guys have a meeting scheduled that week. So, Keith and I talked the other day and Joel about what that schedule looks like and what you guys look like for vacations, which brought up the conversation. It's becoming vacation season for both you as committee members, but also staff. So I think it's a really good idea if you all coordinate when that might be, so you can move meetings or do whatever you need to do. Quickly on the general manager search tonight, the board is likely to approve a contract with the search firm, so they will probably start Monday to start that process. The next thing I want to talk about is site visits. I mean, you guys do a great job of trying to get out there and all, but I've had a couple of people who were confused by them. So I just wanted to kind of go over talk about that a little bit. I know you guys do a good job, or at least I hope you're knocking on the door and making sure they know you're there. That's important. I also know you pair up when you can, which is really good. If there's anything we can do to help facilitate those visits, let us know. If you want us to send an email to the homeowner or the resident or the builder, whatever, we'd be glad to do that for you. So I want to make sure you know that we're there to support that effort. This kind of comes from, I had one person who called and I think four people visited and they were very confused. So I just wanted to make sure we're clear with them when we go in there about what we're doing and why. And kind of the last part is you guys are working really hard and you've had incredibly long agendas, and I want to let you know we really appreciate your work. I do have one more thing after this, but we really appreciate it. I know it's difficult to go through all these things and there's a lot of details, and you guys do a great job with that. Remember, you're being recorded. Remember that certain conversations are, they may not watch today, but they're watching later. So just be aware. I just want to make sure you're aware of that. Last thing is the planner. So I see it. Keith and Susie and Joel have shared, you guys have a number of language things that you'd like to change. And I assume there's even more than what I've seen. That is a planner will do a great job at that. That's what they do, is write policy documents. So that's the plan when they come in. So I encourage you to create a list, start creating a list, because that'll be one of their top work plan items, is to work with you to get all of the for the lack of a better term, the code, the ACC regulations corrected and into where you guys want them. So hopefully once the building season calms down, you'll be able to work over the late summer, fall, and winter on those issues and then get it through the whole process to the board and get those things corrected. So, because I know there's a lot of them that that need to be updated. And then kind of one more thing, the last, tonight the paint stuff for Appendix O goes in front of the board. So we should wrap that up and make that official. And as I said in the middle there, that we're here to help you do the work, the hard work that you're doing. So if there's anything that you need, if you've got ideas or anything I can do or staff can do to help you do a better job, send us an email. We'll create a list and get to work on those things. So any questions?
Yeah, I don't know if it helps any or not. I know it helps me out. I picked up a second one of the rear view mirror identification cards. It says ACC volunteer. And I punched a hole in it and put it on a lanyard, so I wear it around my neck. And I have had a couple of comments by homeowners on that, thanking me for pre-identifying myself.
I think that's a great idea. We'll put something together if you're all good with that. That'll help a lot.
I vote for hats. Just
hats. We can do that too. Let us look into what we can do there, but I think that's a great idea, Tom. Any other questions? Okay.
Not as a committee, really. I guess this is just as a member of the community. What are we doing to replace our roads maintenance person?
We have interviews set up for next Wednesday and Thursday. So,
that's great.
So
hopefully we have a good Bruce substitute. I know he was quite good about kind of identifying to people who were proposing things in the road right away, what was acceptable and what wasn't. He was fairly firm about what wasn't, and that takes pressure off of us.
It certainly does, and we currently have someone doing it temporarily. He's doing a nice job. He's one of the applicants, so we should make a decision by the end of next week, and then we'll have someone in there a couple weeks after that.
Sounds great. Thank you.
This isn't an ACC issue, but there's been some chatter online this week about boat parking and the lack of availability at the marina.
Yep.
And I don't know if it'd be possible to relax the rules during the summertime, say from the day before Memorial Weekend to the day after Labor Day, to allow people to park their boats on their driveways, or if they've got enough room on a parkway in front of their house where they don't hang out in the roads, put their boats there so that they don't have to drag them back to Bellingham.
Sure. Well, I think that is an ACC. I mean, those are some of your regulations, I think. So I think that's something you put on your list. And if you want to work on that, then as a committee, you could do that. And then we can help you take it to the board.
That might actually be a board rules and regulations thing.
Yeah, I think it's rules and regulations, just not the ACC documents.
Yeah.
Well, I think currently can't they just go to security or somebody and just get a temporary permit? I know when the neighbor was working on his boat, he just went and they came and they put a tag on it for him, so he was able to do it temporarily.
And that's true. We have a number of those requests for boats and RVs temporarily on a regular basis. And yes, they can go to security, or you can come to the clubhouse as well. We can do them here too.
Yeah, and for myself personally, as a lake, I don't have a boat. I was going to get one, but there was no slips available. As a lakeside community, I don't have a problem with people parking their boats in their driveway year round. As long as it's a usable boat, it's not there just as a piece of junk. But
Well, there's an issue with that. Although it's true also of like large pickup trucks. If you park right by the street, then you block the view of oncoming traffic sometimes, and people can't see each other, and there could be a car accident.
I don't know what the difference between a vehicle or a boat would be.
Yeah, a big vehicle is kind of like most of the boats are kind of large is the thing. If they park it well away from the road, the street, then it's good. But if it's right up by the street. Anyways,
But that's off topic, so.
Sure, parking's a hard one. No matter what we do, parking's difficult.
Yeah.
So, but we work really hard with the folks to make sure that they can do what they need to do. And if they work with us, it's usually not too painful for them. So, okay. Well, I'll plan to be back at the, in early July and kind of make this a regular thing so that you guys can have access to me and I can talk about what's going on. So, and I'm always available on email. So
Well,
Thank you very much, and I'll let you get.
Personally, I hope you're around for a long time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, have a good
Okay.
day, Glenn.
Yeah,
Thank
have
you,
a great
sir.
meeting.
All right, at this point, I'd like to get started on our items here. We have to ask for approval of the 2021 meeting agenda.
Move to approve.
Well, second.
Okay, next item number 3, approval of June 3rd, 2021 meeting minutes. Everyone get a chance to see those?
Actually, I haven't. Sorry.
I haven't reviewed those either. Seems to me there was something on the 3rd, but I don't recall what it was.
Do you want to make a motion to defer to next meeting, which is next Thursday?
Yeah, I moved to defer.
Keith and Tom seconded. Defer.
Where are those posted? A really nice little click me, taking me straight there would help me there too.
Yeah, you have to click through quite a bit right now.
It should be on the normal ACC minutes page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Looks like you do have a shortcut for the June 10th.
I don't post those, by the way, just so everybody knows. I don't, Deanna posts these out of the office. We have like a separation of who posts on the website, you know?
Yeah, it looks like the agenda, not the minutes. Oh, well, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, in the
All right,
spreadsheet. Yeah.
Oops, excuse me, go ahead.
In the spreadsheet, there's the agenda is there as an, but it's not, the minutes are not on the spreadsheet. They're just on the website. Anyway, do we,
It would be
are
nice.
those unanimous?
Actually, never.
All right, so we're deferring the minutes approval till next Thursday, correct?
Yeah, we all vote yes on that, I think.
Yes.
Okay. All right, item number 4. It's 81 Grandview Lane, new construction request, and we'll let Joel take over from here to present 81 Grandview Lane.
All right. Good morning, folks.
Good morning, Joel.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, so we're on to 81 Grandview. We have our owner, Ian, and Kim, and our builder, Adam Foy, I believe, are in the meeting as well to help us through this one. So we had our sit-down meeting, and we talked through a lot of things. You can see, let's get the screen share going here. I have a report in our Google Drive for this property. You can see we've got 25 issues hoops they've jumped through. Still got a lot of the major ones been taken care of. Still a few issues to remaining, mostly little landscaping plan details. There was not a landscaping plan at all when this was first submitted, and then we got one sometime maybe early last week, and sent it back for some revisions. We got some of those revisions back, but a little bit of work to do on the landscaping plan. So let's go through some of the comments. Bruce asking about the site plan showing 7-foot setback lines instead of our 5-foot lines. This was requested. It didn't make it onto the updated plans, but there is enough information to see that we've got a 7-foot, with that 7-foot dimension minus the 1-foot eve projection, we're at a 1-foot setback. We could have them provide us with updated plans with that.
Can I have a quick on that? Joel, why are we showing a 7-foot setback on there instead of our normal 5-foot setback on the plan?
Yeah, I don't know. This was a request I made for the builder to show a 5-foot setback to the eave projections. I don't know why they're going 7 feet all the way to that, providing that, but it's greater than the 5 foot.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied with it.
Yeah, with a 1 foot eve, it'd probably actually be 6 foot.
Mhm.
It looks like they're going to the corner of the house.
There's a hash mark right there for the 1 foot eve. You can see that right below the
Mhm.
7 foot.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can figure out that it meets the,
Right.
in fact, the 5 foot is to the eave, so they have an extra foot, it looks like.
Mhm. Right, and I think we have a similar, we're at 7 foot here.
Just not used to seeing someone give extra feet.
You know, extra's good.
Well, and I think part of the reason on this one was the house lays out better into the other corner and away from that corner where there's 7 feet on both sides. So the goal was to try to get it down, further into the property that direction
Mhm.
instead of all the way up against the setback line.
Right. No, I don't have any issues with it. Next up, elevations do not specifically show height to finish grade. Yeah, we don't have a, I don't think it was requested to provide a dimension showing our height out. We are well within the height requirements, looking at under definition 2, the 20 feet to the rear of the home. We do have we've got our height of our main floor, but not to our finished grade. But looking at the height of, where is it, the height of the building? Where do I have it here? I thought we had a dimension. It was measured. Here's what, so our top of our ridge is at, show up here, 539.
How'd you do that, Joel?
Do what?
Clean it up from the blurry to the, where it got real clear there.
You just need to zoom in and then give it a few seconds and it should sharpen up. Yeah, I just zoom in and then wait, and it pops into place. So we're at 530.
Quick question, does the maximum height go to the ridge or does that include the chimney enclosure?
So our language doesn't say anything about a chimney enclosure. It says top of the roof line.
Correct.
But
Which is fine.
I believe even with the chimney enclosure, we are there. But if our top of the ridge is 539, and then if we're measuring to the back of the property line here to about the 530, you can see we're right there. We're only, what did I say, 529 to 530? Sorry, 539 to 530. We're only, that's a difference of 9 feet. And this does bring into, so we can also add the chimney, to 4 feet chimney, and we're safe there as well.
I don't
I
think
think
we've,
ridge line's appropriate. The chimney, just a small piece.
Mhm.
yeah. I don't think we've been including chimneys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And we'll make sure we have a spark arrestor up on that chimney.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what's next? Propane or natural gas? I think we were going to do all electric. Is that correct, Adam?
Well, there is natural gas in the road. Getting it exact locates is next phase. In the as we call for locates to get the dirt work started. So exactly where that comes in is not known by Water District 10. That's something that we got to just find out. But it was not. There is no propane specifically. So everything else will be underground, whether it's power and natural gas.
Mm-hmm. So that was DJ and DJs who has all electric.
You can ask the next door neighbor was happy to provide the fact that the gas ends down the street a ways, so you'll have to bring the utility up the street quite a ways and extend the main line to get it.
Okay, well, that might make that decision for us then, if it's a hefty project.
Okay. Next comment here, maximum of 352 square feet of landscaping allowed. Yep, so we had this conversation after the original landscaping plan was submitted. And let's see. Here's our most recent updated landscaping plan. And these green circles were not, they were not labeled as lawn or grass. And so I think we've got in here now, they're saying they made this comment, lawn area not to exceed 360 square feet for the stormwater report. But if the stormwater report says 352, then it should be 352.
Okay.
And
I ran the that image last night late, so it's probably the one that's there. And I came up with that image showing it closer to 586 square feet. So you might want to adjust that, show the actual size.
Right. We had the actual size that came up after their original landscaping plan was submitted, and it hasn't deviated from our site plan view here. So they've put that note in there. Certainly something we'll be checking on our inspections. And then I would like to see an updated landscaping plan again with some of these reflecting that as well.
Yeah, that'd be easy to do, and obviously, 9 months in progress, but we'll get it done as fast as possible.
Right. So all right, landscaping, yeah, square footage. Next up, are the lighting fixtures capped on top?
I like
I
that.
believe they were. Was that right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I mean, first off, they would be exterior grade or exterior designed, but I imagine those are capped, yes.
Hmm.
That looks cool. I like that.
And then survey with a question mark. We do have a survey. Was there, so this is a Bruce question. Bruce, did you have particular?
No, I just failed to find it. I'm sorry.
Oh, is it?
I see it there.
Yeah, there was a couple of things I noticed, some incongruencies. There's a few comments between finding things in the drive here. It should be here. It says modified May 24th. I don't know why I wasn't showing up for you. But we've got it.
Bad eyesight, I guess.
Okay, we had to send it back and have tree species put on this survey, which they obliged us. All right, moving on to Karen's comments. Overall, this was a very good set of plans, in my humble opinion. Thank you for that. Well, that's a good comment.
Thank you.
I have a quick question regarding Grandview Circle. Isn't that actually Swallow Circle? Grandview Lane and Swallow Circle?
It
You're
is.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
I think the original plat map is probably where they got that from.
Yeah, it looks like most of the addresses are still Grandview, even though they're on Swallow Circle, which is really interesting how the numbers work. But yes, you're right.
So we're gonna change the address then to Swallow.
I guess that's up to the post office. It'll
Yeah,
take
since it's on a corner, it will be accessed through, from the Swallow Circle side.
Mhm.
So
So properly, it should be a Swallow Circle address, but I don't know that that's our bailiwick.
Hey,
yeah,
Joel,
it's a good question.
Yes.
I got just a really generic question here on these questions on the new construction checklist.
Mhm.
The date the applicant must have the plan submittal appointment by is 2020. Isn't that kind of last year's?
Yeah, we had an older application. I've seen this too. I don't know why. We've had quite a few builders submit the older 2020 version of the application. I think the only thing that has changed on here, I've put them side by side to each other. And I didn't see any, I can't remember. There might have only been one minor change. I think it's the date, which now I think is July 31st, 2021. And I don't know why I think this was the application that has been on the website for a while, and it was just recently updated.
Okay, I was just wondering because they were all like that.
Yeah, they did when Ian here for 81 Grandview came in, I gave him a recent copy, and then I think DJ filled out. I gave him some recent copies as well, but I can do another comparison side by side and let you know what, if any, of the differences are.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. As long as they're not required to do something by last year, I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
Might be smart,
That'd be great.
to update the form and get rid of the year entirely.
yeah, build a time machine and go back in time and build your house.
As long as lumber prices are a year ago, that sounds great.
Yeah. All right, next up. Next comment, retaining wall called out at the left in the north elevation on sheet A3. I think I know which one this is going to be. A3.1. Oh, sorry, I'm on the old plans here. North elevation, retaining wall at left. It's not shown on, so talking about this retaining wall, this vertical, this wall here, Karen?
Yeah,
It's not shown on the site plan. Yeah, I was looking at this and trying to figure out what this wall was. And
Looks
I
like the foundation wall to me.
if you go to the foundation plans, it's taking a second to load here. So here's our foundation wall.
Yeah.
And then, so I looked at this as well, and I was curious about it, how that's going to look. So here's where the this window here, and we have what looks like there's that retaining wall there
okay, I don't think that's necessarily a routine.
sticking out.
There may be some exposed there. It's really hard to tell right now, before digging where the elevation of that retaining is going to happen, and how deep that basement's going to go. And it's not that daylight section, it's just going to have to be something that's revised after the dig to see, the height of that wall. I don't imagine it's going to be anything different than what we're seeing on site based on the topography map. But again, that's a tricky corner to fully predict at the moment.
If it is going to be in any retaining walls, they do have a proposed finish for what their retaining wall is going to look like. And I put that in the drive.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do this concrete, kind of a concrete facade. Are these like adhered? Is this going to be, let's see, is this just going to be like masonry work on the outside of the concrete?
I was gonna look into what forming options there were for, you know, imprinting in the forms. I've got a concrete guy who can do some of that decorative vertical work. So it's going to be just kind of pricing out between building the forms that way with the imprint or applying masonry to the concrete.
Okay. So this retaining wall would be
that area right there is going to have some kind of backfill. Compaction.
Yeah, I would, looking at the contour lines, it seems like along that face, the existing slope should just be followed. I don't know.
Yeah, it may be even less extreme than what shows on the elevation, you know, it may turn out more natural than that. And then siding just kind of goes down to grade, even if it, you know, covers some of the taller foundation wall right there. So there may not be much exposed at all.
Yeah, I'm thinking it doesn't look that steep there, and if you just kind of followed the grade down, because I wish I could point the corner where the 1 foot roof dimension is shown, closest to the side property line.
Yes.
That's right around in 519, which is what your flat area is going to be in the back. Already the existing contour is 519. So if you just slope it gradually down from there till you get to the 509. I don't think you really need a wall there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, just it was a little confusing.
Well, again, we can make an adjustment to the elevation once we have the dig, and I think that'd probably be wise if that's something you guys would require or want. You know, when that adjustment happens, you know, we can revise the elevations to match, you know, where we lay out after the dig. That'd be easy to do.
Yeah, to clarify whether there actually is a wall there or not. And
yeah, and we will know that, you know, within the next 2 weeks.
That's fine by me.
Yeah. That can be easily handled with an inspection.
Yeah, and we'll make sure concrete's, you know, any concrete retaining wall is covered, and if it is sloping down with the topography, we'll have that either the siding brought down and or painted.
Sounds good.
All right, next up, are all areas shown with horizontal stripes in the north and west elevations to be finished and horizontal lap siding? I believe so. Are you talking? Oh, right here, this retaining, this area section here.
Yeah.
Could you drill in on that a little bit, Joel? I think that might have been.
This is your retaining wall. So they're asking, is this going to be lap siding?
No, I think what the architect was going for there was like a board form concrete. It's something that he's done often, and I've built a number of his houses. I think what if I'm guessing right with him, that's probably, you know, you take like old barn wood and you create your forms out of that, so it does a release, and it looks really cool. But that might not be the appropriate application here, we'd probably just do that that rock wall application, that masonry or imprint application that's on the example.
Mhm. Okay, I remember we talked about that during our meeting. So taking heavily textured barnwood, building
And creating forms.
with
Yep.
it to create kind of the texture on the concrete. And we weren't sure if the ACC would be okay with that as a textured surface on the concrete, to meet our exposed concrete rule. And then,
Yeah, we want to see what it looks like to start with.
but I
Assume
think
that would be a stained concrete.
sorry, would it be stained?
Yeah.
In that section, if we were to do the board form, it would have some sort of a release color to kind of make it look like wood. So there would be a brown stain over the top of it, a concrete stain. I'm sure I can find an example for if we go to that design, if that's even an option. I think that is something that Joel brought up, and we did talk about just bringing it up in the meeting. If that were an option, then we can find an example. If it's not an option, then we'll just stick with the masonry plan.
Mhm.
How well does that hold up over time? When that's
I did one in Fairhaven like 15 years ago, and it still looks brand new. It's really cool. That was a major retaining wall project that was all done with a barn that was torn down and a bunch of really deep grooved old wood, and it still looks like old wood stack concrete in that retaining wall there. So that's been 15 years, still looks great.
Does it,
some of those
all
images,
these look kind of pale. Do you have an example where it's the brown color and does that brown hold, does the coloring hold up?
Yeah, the concrete stain, and it could even be an integral color too, is something that they add at Cowden. And so that should be a lifetime application.
Okay. I do think that if your retaining walls are going to have the stone look, that area would be nicer matching that, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. I agree. It can't just be gray looking concrete. It would have to have some unique color, dark, something that made it look more like a wood, or stick with the masonry finish.
I can bring an example before, we can make that, if Joel, you wouldn't mind just making that an inspection point, or I submit it if we decide to go that route, and you guys can make that decision. I, again, don't know how much of that's actually going to end up being exposed. And if it's not as much as we think, then there's no reason to, do anything ultra fancy. We could probably, whatever's just going to pass is the best.
the images Joel had up there looked rather interesting to me. I thought they probably looked really, really nice.
It would be unique, and it is a very classy look. Again, a very high-end house in Fairhaven. I did a big wall, and it looks fantastic. It is gray, so I could try to find an example where there's an integral brown color, but
yeah, I think in this location, something a little darker than what we're seeing in these photos would be nice.
Sure.
Yeah, if you, Adam, if you can find an example of exactly what you'd like it to look like, we could present that later for approval. It sounds like the stone look probably sounds like it's approved. So if you want to pursue this board form.
Yeah, I would like the coloring to be dark, it looks darker than plain concrete. It's not just a shaping, it's also a.
You want to have some stain on there, color to it.
Yeah.
Paint, maybe.
Okay.
You can always you could dye the concrete in that area.
You certainly can, and that can be done at Cowden, and there's a lot of different options for doing a colorant that comes in on the truck instead of applied to the surface.
Right.
Sounds
Okay.
great.
All right, next step. So I've got that on my notes there. Driveway profile should reflect all the requirements in Appendix A. So the transitions shown from the road, edge of road to pavement to the face of garage. Yeah, this was a tricky. We had this similar issue back with 18 Inlet Circle. We have this driveway. It's got some curvature to it, and Indian Inn. So depending on where they're cutting, and I think that we're showing our driveway profile essentially from the property line to the property line here. Is that right, Adam?
Shoot, can you rephrase that question again? So now that you've got
sure.
it drilled in.
Let me put it on the screen as well so you can read it here. Driveway profile should reflect all the requirements in Appendix A. So the transitions with our different degrees, I can bring that up as well. So having these transitions, slope changes.
Well, I mean, if, since there is some prescriptive design there, we definitely will, build to suit. I believe we'll be under and not pushing any of the extremes of that requirement. So, I mean, it's the reason we're even accessing from, Swallow Circle instead of Grandview is because it's a gentler, way into the property and kind of a more natural way into the property. So I don't think we're going to have, pushing any of those extremes on there.
I agree. It's just our practice to show starting at the road pavement edge. And, there's been a problem with a lot of downsloping driveways dumping water across the street. I have one across the street from me. In the wintertime, sometimes that water freezes right over the street, and that's not a good thing. So what you're showing here, you have a strip drain. So we've been applying that Appendix A that you can, instead of the drain swale where you have to slope down for 3.5 feet, you start sloping up right away at the 23% and go 9 feet to the, do that part of it. If you put a strip drain instead of the swale.
Okay.
So I did a quick look at it and you're fine. You meet all the requirements. It's just nice to show it. That's all.
I understand. Okay. Joel, could you send me that appendix A, that diagram you had pulled up, or where that prescriptive?
Yeah, it's at the end of our ACC policies, but I'll send those out for you.
Great.
Okay. Oh yeah, so this next one, very long retaining wall along the rear property line appears needed. Yeah, because this came up too, and I think they have put it on the landscape plan, but it's not yet on the site plan. So we've got our garage and this back floor elevation at 519, and then the existing grade at the rear of the home is up to 530 near the property line. And so we've got is that 11-foot transition there, and I think about a 6-7 feet of horizontal. So I requested that as well. They've drawn kind of a rockery here on the landscape plan, but we're waiting for that update on the site plan.
Again, I think that the scope of that rock work is really contingent on the depth of the dig. Just when we hit firmament and we hit our point for footings and know how high the wall is going to be. Obviously there's going to be something there, but we're not exactly sure the scope of it yet. And if it's anything over spec, then it has to be engineered and submitted. But the goal is to keep it all under regulation. They
require engineering for rockeries?
Only if it's over a certain height, which it doesn't look like that's going to be the issue here. So
I've seen some impressive rockeries around Sudden Valley,
yeah, certainly.
20, 30 feet high.
And then that definitely takes engineering. But
All right. Let's see what's next. Oh yeah, so onto the landscaping plan. Please identify what is to go in the swath in front of the deck, as
That's one,
well
yep.
as what is to go in the rear setback area. So yeah, behind the home. Let's see. Yeah, also we prohibit root disturbance and then the drip lines, trees that are to remain. Yeah, we talked about protecting all the trees with barrier fencing.
Which
Yeah,
means
and
that,
existing.
trench digging and
Mhm.
planting of large items shouldn't really be happening under the
Mhm.
tree drip lines.
Yeah, so originally this landscaping plan was submitted with all these plants in here, 300 salal, 100 red twig dogwood shrubs. And I came back with the comments that, hey, really, we don't need to replant the entire lot here. As the policies say, we want to retain as much existing native vegetation as possible. So we don't need to have a landscaping plan for every piece of the property here. So then they came back and they marked here's our existing native vegetation to be preserved or overplanted if needed. Then yeah, so we can ask for an updated landscaping plan. That's something I think I'd like to see at some point as well, just kind of showing what's going in the back here. We'll probably want to see exist or replanted native.
At what point, like what's kind of your deadline for that then? Obviously that's, we'll be in construction mode and some landscape stuff would be nice to kind of choose and spend some time thinking about and planning. This was, put together to meet your requirements, but obviously since it's at the end of the project, it'd be nice to kind of dial that in a little bit more. Clearly, it needs to be inspected at the end and you've got to sign off on it, but
right. When do we want an updated landscaping plan? Well, I mean, I know it's going to happen near the end of the build. As soon as
I mean,
possible.
we can always make revisions. I mean, and then that's, probably something that'll happen during the process. It's, I just don't want to hold anything up, and I don't believe this will hold it up. We're trying to meet requirements with every step, but
County does come out too as well, and they'll be inspecting your landscaping, and they'll let you know if you need to add plants to an area here or there.
Sure.
To do some replanting.
I think personally,
yes.
Personally, I think that having learned that we're supposed to, I guess, help enforce the native planting requirements associated with the stormwater system design, that basically if you show the 352 square feet
yep.
Of non-native landscaping, put that on there, that number on there somewhere, and then that'll be kind of the reminder. And then since all your plants seem to be chosen here from the native plant lists,
It is.
I think we're fine.
Okay.
I am.
To me, the key would be to I'd like to see it because when they do inspections, they're going to be looking sort of at the lines and stuff as a guide. And I'd like to see that lawn area kind of pulled back to where it's actually within that maximum limitation. So
sure,
if little edits like that could be done so that it's in the file, and so when they do start looking at it, that they don't have to start reinterpreting.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that I can have that submitted, within a week or two. I did, the architect drew that, but those kind of changes, and we have the files, probably something that Ian and I can just do to shrink that up, meet the requirements, since all the choices have kind of been made. Now we just need to change the dimensions.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's just something I think you just need to get to Joel. I don't think we need to see it again since we know what you need to match.
Yeah.
What's the width of the driveway at the south side where you have the extension?
Boy, that's a good question.
Are you talking about over
Yes.
right here? This
Uh-huh.
dimension?
To the other side? Is that going to require a waiver?
Not that I know of. I mean,
Well, there's a 20-foot max on the driveway width.
Is that 20-foot max applied to that kind of turnaround too?
Well, it looks like it's part of the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
well, that could also be done in pavers or some other kind of landscape piece. I mean, you basically need a little bit of a hammerhead to turn around.
We could have it reduced to 20 feet.
Yeah.
Looks like it's not far off, but
Yeah, it's probably close. One of the problems, well, one of the things we had is that the printing, they had the correct scale on the plan listed, but when it printed out, it didn't print it out the right size, so the actual scale did not match the. I couldn't measure it with my ruler. So
Doesn't look like it'd be an issue, really.
yeah, we'll make sure that it's 20-foot max.
That'll be easy to do, at the footing inspection or whenever we like our construction entrance, or we can stake that out.
So your driveway inspection as well, you call for your inspection when the forms are set, but before you pour the concrete. So we'll come out
Yep.
and make those measurements as well, make sure you're ready to go.
You bet.
Okay. Oh, we're almost done with this one. Let's see. Please also show silt fencing location, excavation limits, utility trench locations. Don't
what I
see-
was mainly getting at there is the trees that are to remain.
Mhm.
Make sure that we either protect them adequately or change them to trees that are not to remain.
Mhm.
On that protection, I don't remember seeing anything that shows a prescriptive design for protection. What is it that is required for how to protect those?
It's tree fence, tree barriers. It's in.
I'm sure my dirt guy knows, because he's
Yeah.
done a number in the watershed, so I'm sure he knows what it is. I'm just wondering myself.
Austin,
Well, it's a Sudden Valley thing. It's in our policies. It's been there for a long time.
Okay.
But it has not been, we did change just fairly recently last year, our inspection schedule to where we inspect for those to be installed. So
Okay.
I don't know that it was enforced in the recent past, which may be why your guy doesn't know about it. So the idea is that, we didn't actually specify exactly what it's to consist of.
no
The-
barrier entry fencing at the tree drip line is what the
Yeah.
policies call for. So no barrier fencing is not explicitly defined. We've seen some of this orange netting come up.
That works. Yep. We could stake around it and use the orange netting.
Mhm.
Fencing, netting.
And we're trying to avoid stockpiling of any materials on the routes in the root zone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
or
that
digging
makes sense.
in the root, disturbing the closest part of the root, of the root zones.
Okay.
And that goes for neighboring trees as well on neighbors' properties.
Yeah, anything in close proximity.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll come and check that out when we do our erosion control inspection. That's one of your first inspections before you start your dirt work. After the
Okay.
trees will fail, but before you start your dirt work, your silt fencing will be in place and your tree protection is in place. So we do have our silt fencing. Silt fencing is wrapping around here. Would we like to extend that? So the silt fencing location is on the site plan.
Okay, sorry, nose blind. It doesn't seem consistent with the trees that are going to stay. But let's move on to my point of discussions at the end, because
Okay. Yeah, so discussion needed. Several large trees. Yeah, this came up too with Adam and I. There's some trees on the first property. So behind this lot is property of the firs. And I think Adam asked this, hey, we got some trees back here that, look like they might need to be come down. And I said that you have to talk to the firs about that and get their permission. Adam, have you had a chance to talk to them yet, to contact them?
No, I haven't, but I do have contacts over there, so I'll make that happen this week. Maybe I can give them a shout today and get somebody on the phone, and either John Epps, the director, or someone who would know, who to talk to. I mean, I'm sure they have a maintenance guy that would, and if they need an arborist in there, I can get an arborist over there to look at it too and work with them. But yeah, clearly we're not going to cut anything down that's on somebody else's property. We just want to identify those items that could be at risk, and I'm sure they'll work with us. They have over 1,000 acres of untouched stuff back there, and a couple trees that are dangerous is probably beneficial to both parties.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's my opinion too, that if you present them with an arborist report, it says, hey, we've got some hazard trees here, and they recognize the liability of those hazard trees coming down on your house, and you're willing to remove them, then I'm sure, or at least probably offer to remove them or meet them halfway. That's your negotiation part, but
yeah, there were a couple of kind of scary looking trees further up the slope, but
Yep.
The concern is the trees whose root zones extend into the work area. Down at the bottom corner on the page here, the joint property line with the homeowner to the north, and then also up in that corner there are several trees that are quite close. And so those are not hazard trees now, per se, but if you dig there, they will become hazard trees, probably. And so I don't think the firs will see the point in their paying to remove those trees.
Oh, I don't think there's any expectation of that. So I might offer to see if they're interested for a safety's sake, but definitely more than willing to take care of it ourselves. So
yeah, I think that would be nice for the future safety of the owner, the homeowner.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody saw that interesting tree further up. It's probably far enough away not to be a big hazard, but it grew diagonally in one direction for like 20, 30 for a long way, and then started going in the other direction.
Yeah, there are a couple of them up there from the turnaround that it's definitely on the firs that to me, I mean, just glancing on it, you can tell their hazard trees are going to be a problem. Whether they're far enough away from to affect this lot, I'm not sure. They seem pretty close to me.
Well, we'll get the arborist in there right away. That my dirt guy actually partners with an arborist, and they kind of work on projects together. So I'll be able to hustle that pretty quickly next week.
Okay. The last point of discussion then is the frontage area of this lot is quite steep, has plant cover that seems somewhat sparse in places. So it may be adequate to plant and slope and evergreen ground cover such as low Oregon grape or salal. But it may also be good to, in this case, consider laying back that slope or including a front retaining wall, which will come at the cost of more tree removal and land disturbance. So it sounds like due to the steepness of the slope, we might, consider some additional erosion control measures, some extra planting. Which you seem to be, want to do on your landscaping plan. But this is.
I know that our
discussion.
policies encourage leaving as much natural area undisturbed as possible. And certainly digging in the root zones of existing trees is not the best thing. But, I saw some bare slope there. It would be nice to have some evergreen cover over it at least. I know that laying back the slope would make the property tidier and neater and nicer looking in a way, but of course would not be inexpensive. So I guess what I was trying to communicate is that would be nice, if for Sudden Valley, ditch maintenance and so on. But I'm fine if you want to interplant, ideally evergreen ground covers so that they hold it year round.
Yeah, I guess if there's a list of things that feel like requirements, beyond suggestion, then certainly we'll work within that parameter. And again, it's hard to say. We obviously want to clean up the landscaping, and it has been unkept this whole time. That property's been sitting there for a long time. So I think that hillside, from my perspective, I think that hillside's going to hold together with a replanting schedule, and we can approve different plants that'll work in there. But I don't think it's going to need any retainage. So hopefully not. But
if we need to, we will.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm just thinking that some of that dirt has been ending up in the ditch. I noticed the downslope culvert is kind of blocked.
Oh yeah, and usually on every project, doing a full culvert kind of clean out and making sure that there's no impediments is certainly a procedure of mine, just so that all drainage is running correctly to start off with. So that, that'll definitely get a solid beautification and making sure everything's functional for sure.
So just kind of a culvert restoration.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, ditch digging out, cleaning out, and making sure that the neighbor's culvert can accept the water that comes.
Okay.
I think actually the other end of their culvert looked a little problematic to me too, but that's not your problem.
Well, we'll definitely make that, open and functional, and make sure there again isn't any impediments to the culvert performing correctly, sticks and logs and dirt and sediment that have built up over time all get cleared out and working correctly.
Well, that sounds good. I'd be happy for you to plant whatever you're willing to plant along that slope
Sure.
to fill it in a little bit more with, like I said, ideally evergreen plants.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what our schedule is for doing that. We'd like to see more trees, more evergreens, more natural stuff from the area. So
Okay. So
Yeah,
the
it
big-
fits with the landscape plan.
So the big notes I have for this one is, provide an updated landscaping plan with the square footage of the grass under control. We can present an example for the board formed concrete. Updated driveway cross section, make sure that 20-foot maximum driveway turnaround. And then, asking permission from the firs for those trees and the slope replanting. Did I miss anything?
No, that sounds, well, not on my side. That sounds good to me.
Okay, I'll make a
Okay,
motion to approve with notes.
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
aye, since you won't be able to see your hands with Joel's screen up.
Oh, sorry.
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous.
All
Great.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
yeah, thank you, everyone.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
All right, next up. We're
Susie,
on,
did you get all?
Yeah,
Okay, great. Okay, item number 5, 18 Granite Circle, new construction request.
here we are.
this is DJ and DJ, correct?
Yep. So DJ and DJ from last week, we went through 3 of theirs and we have their other 4 today. And they've got 1 more in the pipe.
So it looks like we've got John Gordon in here. Joel, did you want to address that?
Yeah, sure. So we have John Gordon's been hired by Sergey Savchuk of Aero Construction. We reviewed some of his properties 2 weeks ago and voted to defer. We approved 2 of them, deferred 2 of them, and denied 1 of them, based on the steep driveway slope. And Sergey's hired John to try to help him get through the ACC. So John has requests. So I don't have any of Sergey's properties. I have not seen. I have not been able to. So we've asked him for the updates. I have not seen any updated site plans yet that were sent to me. I think John sent me some files last night about 11:20 p.m. I haven't had a chance to look on them. So it has not made it on the agenda. So John Gordon's asking if he can do a walk-on review for those remaining properties.
My initial response at this moment would be defer till next Thursday's meeting, just because a couple reasons. We haven't seen it. You haven't had a chance to look at it yourself. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to defer.
What are we talking about? Sorry,
Can I say
we're talking
anything?
about 18 Granite Circle?
No.
No, this is Arrow's property from 2 meetings ago that were deferred. John Gordon is in the meeting here. He was requesting a walk-on review.
Oh, okay, yeah, no,
But I told him it was really, it's a ACC decision.
no, I think Keith is right.
We're
We need
not
a little
really
more
doing-
advanced.
We're
morning.
not really doing the walk-on reviews on new constructions anymore, are we?
I thought not.
Can I speak? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, I just thought, since you've seen the properties before, that you might be willing to see addresses to the questions and deferral reasons. Prepared, drawings and comments, if you're willing to look at them. If not, then we'll just try and get on the agenda tomorrow for next week.
That would be my suggestion at this point. I would prefer that. And we had a motion for deferral by Tom. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of deferring?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it'll be deferred to next week, John. If you can
Okay.
get on that agenda.
So how do I make that happen?
You'll be contacting Joel, making sure he has all the information that was requested in the comments,
All right,
and then I'll be to get you on the agenda.
sounds good.
All right, thank you for your time, John.
You bet.
Okay, we're back to item number 5, 18 Granite View Circle. Joel, you got this?
Yeah, grabbing up. Here we go. So again, DJ Properties, is Connor Ennis here in?
Yep, I'm here.
Lost those questions, comments. Here we go. Comment from Bruce. Is any of the lot left undisturbed? It's not shown in the landscaping plan. No grass shown. Let's see. I have some version of it. So I think doesn't look like we have any grass. We've got areas of bark and flowering shrubs. The rest is saying native. Of course, some of it will have to probably be disturbed due to the nature of construction. So I think it would be replanted native.
Correct.
It looks like on their application checklist, they haven't submitted a tree removal plan.
Hmm. Their site plan, I think, shows remove next to a whole bunch of trees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as a note there is marked on the site plan.
Okay, it doesn't say site plan, it just says marked on site.
Oh, oh yeah, Mark, I think.
Oh, this is one where I believe there were no tree ribbons and there were a bunch of wooden stakes, but they were not connected with the orange string like we've seen on some of the others. And so it was hard to figure out where the house was going to be.
Hmm.
And the tree removals, I think they didn't have any ribbons when I was there.
That one, that's interesting. I can go double check it because we had them all marked out and staked. So my only thought is somebody else tampered with it potentially or something because
I was wondering about that because your other jobs are nice. I like those orange strings.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's weird too, because I am almost certain I have some photos of this somewhere, and
well,
I'm
we went out
to hear that the trees are not ribbon.
We went out and did them all at the same time, so they
Yeah.
were all done collectively.
Yeah, when Bruce and I went there, it was the string was up.
I went there late. It was yesterday, actually.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
it's
it should
also,
have.
it's also possible that I was at the wrong site because it was just this string of undeveloped. On that side of the road, there was nothing else to kind of get my bearings. I mean, the only thing I identified was your typical sign that you put in the front there. And I thought I had the right site, but is there a really huge, or well, a large looking fallen tree kind of running up and down the slope next to it?
That does sound familiar to me. I'm thinking back.
Okay. Yeah, so somebody might have tampered with your work.
Yeah, and if I'm remembering correctly, because obviously we have quite a few sites out there, this is on the downsloping side,
No,
or is that a different one I'm
it's
thinking?
the upsloping.
Okay. I can go verify it, and or Justin, who was on the call with me last week, our earthworks guy, he'll be out there today. I can have him go double check it and see what's going on.
Sure, and I can check it as
Anyway.
well. All right.
Hey,
Let's
Joe,
move on
can you
here. Yes.
Hey, Joe, can you answer a question for me? When we're looking at that phosphorus calculation stuff, I know grass falls into that landscaping, but are those higher numbers also associated with the bark and shrubs and flowering plants type stuff, or is that more of a native calculation? Because it just says landscaping on that form.
Right. When I talked to Aaron, the lead engineer from ACC, and I talked to Michael Kirshner, and I think it was Michael that said that when they're designing the landscaping area on the stormwater plan, and they're coming up with that amount of square footage, they're assuming the highest phosphorus loading of grass that would go in there. So if there's anything else like bark or trees or shrub that are in that landscaping area, then that's better. It has lower loading than the grass.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I just remember it was always grass that I think he was mentioning when I was trying to do that on my lot. So I just interpret grass when I see that landscaping. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't doing that wrong.
Right. I think that's safe to do is, when you look at its square footage based on the stormwater calculations, 231 square feet allowable, that's 231 square feet of grass. And if they want to do bark and shrubs, and, maybe technically they could do more than that. But that's.
So to chime in here, this is Connor.
Outside of my purview. Okay.
Quickly to chime in, I talked with Neil Latta. He did a couple of our stormwater plans on 2 that we approved last week, and then 1 that we're going to do today. And we talked at length about the grass being the trigger on that as well, just to add to what you guys are saying. And he was thinking if you got rid of the grass, there's no issue there. And bark and things only came into play with the county not wanting people just to overload bark everywhere with some plants, but be more tasteful with it.
That's sort of what I remembered too. So I just wanted to make sure I was doing that correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, the Wilson engineering report that started these stormwater systems only said that county staff assign these factors to impervious surfaces, 3 categories: impervious surfaces, native vegetation, and quote landscaping. What Michael Kirshner said on the phone to me was that they're looking for native plants, native landscape. I personally don't understand how, a rhododendron that's native to the Southeast US is functionally different from a native rhododendron, but this is how they're doing things right now, I guess. So I don't know.
Okay.
But for erosion control, if it's a steep slope, it should not be bark.
Yeah,
bark,
we have
bark
requirements
just washes down.
to lay some
Washes
jute
down and clogs up the culverts.
Yeah, steep slopes required jute mat or other erosion control, replanting. Mhm. I came up on the final inspection. Okay, let's move on here. Retaining wall samples missing from the spec sheet. It is missing down here in this bottom area, but it says up here, the retaining wall materials are going to be concrete if needed.
You're showing one on the site plan.
Yeah, there is showing one on the site plan. So if we do have a concrete retaining wall there, I think we talked about. So we're going to have to cover it with approved screening.
And Joel, if you recall on this one specifically, there was not a retaining wall. And when I initially met with you, you had discussed that slope and needing one. So this got added in after we submitted everything. We added that detail in there.
Okay. Right. That's right. It was not in the original plan. So if we do have a retaining wall back there and it is concrete, then we will need to have some sort of screening. We can do that with, cedar plank wood, or you can make it exposed aggregate is acceptable. It can't be painted.
Do you guys allow the like landscape blocks that have like that chipped face on them and they're stacked almost like in a brick pattern?
Yes.
I think they look nice.
Yeah.
We
And they're nice.
would go that route then. It's concrete. It's got a nice look. It breaks up the visual nicely.
Okay.
And it has no need for a huge foundation, which is good for the trees behind it.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And it tapers back as they stack, which is nice.
Yes.
Okay. Next up,
So that's the plan, landscape block.
landscape block. Yeah. All right. Next up, asking to show a culvert under the driveway and a strip drain at the bottom.
Real quick, I had a question on the left-hand side there, the retaining wall possibly may need to come down the house a little bit along that side. I don't know what you're planning to do over there slope-wise. It was going to be pretty intense, I thought.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. It looks like the wall shown on the site plan now could be shorter on the right side, but needs to come around more on that side. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we're happy to do that. And sometimes after grading in the field, it becomes more logical as to exactly where to end it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll probably want it yourself after you grade and take a look and see how it turns out.
Absolutely. And that's typically we'd go beyond what would be required just to make sure it's all nice and clean on that edge. I agree with you.
All right. So next up, culvert under the driveway. Showed on site plan, strip drain or a swale to go to the ditch. We can have those on an updated plan. And those are things
Where are
we
you
have.
wanting that strip drain located at, Joel?
Where?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Where you referenced the strip drain. There's one on there. What were you referencing with it?
So it should prevent, we should have a strip drain or a swale at the bottom of the driveway. The goal is to prevent water from running onto the roadway.
Yes, this is a Sudden Valley Appendix A requirement.
Yep.
The other strip drain appears to be something required by the stormwater designer.
Mm-hmm.
We can get that added, no problem.
We'll make sure that happens too. And that's part of our driveway inspection. And there's some additional requirements with the culvert installation. And we go over those during our pre-construction review. So we can ask for that. All right, let's try to move us along here. Only a few more to go. To prevent the creation of hazard trees, we require tree root protection barriers. Yep, we Talked about that. Okay, at the drip lines. There's a recommendation here to remove this 36. Remove this tree in the back
Okay.
based on your excavation. And if you do, we'll require replanting. All right. And then resolve, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm gonna, next one, resolving conflicts between root zones and trenching activities in the front yard. So depending on where your, exact stormwater location, if you're gonna be cutting through the roots of these trees, they're smaller trees, right? We'd want to remove those rather than create those hazard trees.
And the power and water off to the side like that will also affect that
Mhm.
tree.
Yeah, depending on where your power and water. Connor, is my understanding your designer is putting these power and water here kind of as a general template with the location to be exact
Yeah.
location be determined later,
Yes.
or is that where they're
It's an entry point into the house and obviously a guesstimate of where the location on the road, but as soon as we get that figured out, they might vary slightly.
Yeah, and it looks like this 16-inch cedar is on the neighboring property. So you might need to get permission from that neighbor.
Okay.
Or go around it.
Yeah.
The owner is Sun Valley. It's an open space lot.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
We have to ask permission from Sun Valley.
Hey, can I remove that tree if I need to?
And actually, I think the 32-inch fir at the front there is also awfully close to the driveway.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know. I had trouble visiting some of these sites, figuring out the trees, whether that's actually where all the trees are. But if it is, then
Mhm. Yeah, when we do our inspections for driveway, and we met last week too with Connor and Justin for one of our pre-construction meetings, and we talked about tree damage and having to cut through tree roots.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
And the best practice for that. And if we're too close to a tree, right, and we can have an arborist come out and evaluate, make a recommendation to remove if necessary. Yeah, this tree might need to go as well.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be a good portion of that tree's roots covered by the concrete.
Mm-hmm.
and if it's really that close, then eventually the trunk will literally grow into the side of the driveway and start pushing
We'll
on it.
start lifting it.
Mm-hmm. So we'd like to make a recommendation right now for removal.
Yeah, it's too close.
I think so.
Okay. All right, next up, landscape plan should show retention of or revegetation within native plants everywhere required by the stormwater design. We do have native vegetation listed here.
It's just a retention area. It'd be nice to know what's supposed to be undisturbed and what's gonna have to be replanted. Usually we see that, it's just missing here.
So you're looking for an example between, like the difference between.
Obviously above where that retaining wall is, probably is gonna be undisturbed.
Correct.
Right.
So
So
the plan should show existing native vegetation undisturbed.
mhm.
Yeah, like that.
So yeah, this is the example I've been providing to builders with their landscape, existing replanted native. The one thing that this is lacking is the list and description of species. It says sod grass landscape on our landscaped area, but so just having these areas defined.
Joel, do you have the site or the landscape plan from before we updated these?
I do.
Because that showed a line where it indicated, and the designer had put grass in front of it, which is obviously our discussion last week that we went away from. So that would be the perimeter of the undisturbed. I can add it to this one happily. And the plan there would be to basically take and pull back the top layer that we can and maintain and rake back over and blend it in with, soils as we dig and do our best to preserve that.
Right.
That one shows exactly what I'm talking about, that line there, which is right by the retaining wall. So I can add that back in.
Right. And these same comments came up in the last meeting. Looking at your landscaping plans looked a lot like this. And so it looks like you've gone back to made that revision, get rid of the grass. But then the next thing that just needs to happen is showing where the replanted native landscape is going to be.
And the disturbed area should stay out of the drip lines of the trees that are to remain. Like those 36-inch fir, if that's to remain, which I think we decided not, right? But the 24-inch hemlock there, pull the line away from that. I saw it going right through it.
Yeah, I think our retaining wall is going to be far enough away for that 24-inch. And I think, we will have our drip lines out, or the tree fencing out to the drip line. I think we'll be safe there. Okay. Landscape showing replanted native. All right. Couple more. I think this one we talked about. The slope steeper than 2 to 1 at the left rear corner of the home.
Yeah, that's the same thing I think Keith already pointed out.
And then the last comment here, it looks like the ditch, ditch should be cleared of debris and dug a bit deeper to make room for cover over the culvert. Yeah, we do have a 12-inch depth between the top of the culvert and the grade of the driveway. So if we need to dig that ditch deeper to make that happen.
That's not a problem on our end.
Okay, yeah, and that's an appendix A in our policies.
Yeah, it should be a good line for the general ditch flow.
So that's it for the comments. So my notes on this one, verifying the trees are ribboned. Culvert and driveway strip drain.
Joel, let's go back to the driveway section.
Yeah. Where would you like to go?
Just the driveway section. Yeah, it looks like they're showing a 24-degree slope. It's kind of blurry, but I think that's what it says.
It's 7.14%.
Okay. Because my question was going to be, they're showing it over 35 feet from the low point to the garage wall when they've got a extension of the garage floor coming out. So it should actually be, that the actual slope portion. But 7.14, that's fine.
Yeah, let's see.
Is that percent?
Percent, yeah. So we can go up to 14%.
We go up to 25%.
I thought we could go 14 degrees and 25%.
Oh, no, yeah, right, sorry.
Yeah, and actually, I looked at the geometry, and they do need to be pretty close to 25% max. First, they have the 9 feet at 23%, and then the 3.5 feet at 18%. In between, they need to be to go from the. Well, okay, I got the average existing pavement elevation a little bit lower than what they're showing, 623 in the middle. And anyway, they do need a steeper slope on their middle part than 7%.
Yeah, if we do have an 8 foot rise, let's see. An 8 foot rise over.
They do meet our standard. They can meet our standards with those elevations, the 632 at the front of the driveway. I mean, at the front of the garage. But the 7% slope, I think, is a little misleading.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't quite compute.
Not accurate. Yeah.
Let me see what I have for.
Oh yeah, and I got 37.5 feet to the face of the garage.
Yeah, originally I've got the slope measured at 25% when we went over this with the plans. Let's take a look at.
Yeah, 8-foot rise and 35-foot run is already at almost 23%. So that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, that's right. I do have a driveway. I have driveway at 25%. And I had it at, based on taking the ruler to the paper. Got that comment in here. So based on those, I mean, if we're at 25%, that is our maximum.
Right, but is it 25% between the low point and the garage floor, or is it 25%? Because that, to me, it doesn't look like 35 feet. It looks to me more like 30 to 31 feet.
For this whole dimension here?
Yeah, because they're going to the face of the garage, but you've got the garage floor extended out there, I would guess 4 feet. You know, what we want is the actual slope, not the.
Yeah, I got that they.
Yeah, I had it measured at 32 feet.
32.
So then it's 8 feet of rise over 32 feet of run, and that gives us a slope of exactly 25%.
Okay. Just visually, it looks like a wicked transition into the garage. I hope they don't have a sports car.
And these measurements I'm talking about were before, and then I made the request, hey, put the percentage slope on there, but yeah, I believe it should read 25%.
Yeah, the whole thing should reflect Appendix A. They should all be showing the 9 feet at the bottom and the 3.5 foot transition at the top.
Yeah, because otherwise how we know exactly what the max slope is, because it's not the average, it's your max slope that's at 25 that we're supposed to be looking at.
Right.
It'd be nice to see the percentage as long as degrees. See both of them.
Well, the sketch is obviously in error because it's saying 7.14%, and that's just plain wrong. So that needs to be corrected.
Connor, are you still there? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I can have it addressed. It might have just been a simple oversight by the designer, but I can have it recalculated and also have him show a break at the peak of that slope before the flat entrance to the garage. That will be simple.
And to avoid that drain swell, the option is that strip drain instead. Those drain swells tend on a steeper driveways tend to bury a lot of people's rear ends in the street.
Yeah, we'll put a strip drain in. I have a note to include a strip drain on the roadside.
So then you'd start your driveway profile where it says drain swale. You'd substitute edge of road for that, and that would be what it would look like.
All right. So do a driveway. Updated driveway. Cross section.
Yep, I'll get that right away.
That was the last of the written comments I have. So the big items were verify the tree ribbons, culvert on the driveway and strip drain, retaining wall left side, tree removals and replanting, landscape plan with it's a minor one with the replanted native, and the driveway cross section.
Yep.
So is the driveway gonna stay within our 25% guide, or is the max slope gonna have to exceed that because if your average is at 25% already, how's that gonna be addressed?
I scaled also from the plans and to the edge of pavement, which isn't clearly shown here. If it's where their driveway rounding is, then I think they had longer than 35 feet. Okay, my site plan does not show that line. Okay, I have a site plan that shows the driveway with the 10-foot radii, but does not show the granite circle edge of pavement.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was on the old site plan there.
Yeah, that's the one I have.
Mhm.
So I just kind of assumed that they got that radius correct and drew a line across and measured to the face of the garage, which is actually, there's a little bump out. The face of garage is where it shows that 5'0" max height from 0.285, whatever that asterisk. The dotted line there is, I believe, the front of the garage.
Yeah, there's a cantilever over one portion of the garage, that bump out that you referenced.
Right. So the length to that dotted line along the middle of the driveway to the edge of pavement, I got that as 37.7 feet, more or less.
That's about what I have too.
Okay.
Looking
So that
at
helps out.
the paper measurements. So you got a couple extra feet to work with probably. And we'll come out and we will be measuring the driveway slope. We've got a digital, excuse me, we've got a digital scale, or sorry, a digital level. Shows exactly where it is.
So and everything else was an obviously meeting our height restrictions and setbacks and everything then, I believe, right?
Let's see. We're at 32.5% property coverage. We have 54.5% open space. Let's see, I didn't have where is our height?
Height's 27.9.5 from lowest.
Yeah, so we're within our height in the lowest grade, 28.5. I don't have any other. Oh,
I'm
I'm
sure
sorry.
they also passed
Oh.
the other definition.
Sorry, I was looking at the wrong folder there. Yeah, no, they're within the height requirements for both definitions. 24.8% property coverage, 68.5% of open space remaining. Do we need temporary construction parking, Connor?
Let me see here. I think it would be beneficial just to keep things off the road.
The narrow road.
Yeah. Yeah. I think on all of our sites, I would prefer to have temporary construction parking.
Okay. I believe that's something that the ACC needs to approve. Do we want to approve temporary
Should
construction
work with
parking?
this. So I vote to approve the temporary parking on that. Cleans up afterwards. That does mean you're probably looking at another, what is that, cedar removal then? Along the ditch?
I think we would put the parking here on this low side.
I think you'd stay away from the upper. Because we've got the one cedar on the upper near the property line there. I think it's probably in Sudden Valley.
There's a lot more space on the lower side. I think it would be easier.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I move to approve the temporary parking on that.
I get a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor of temporary parking, construction parking?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? Do we have any other issues in the house itself?
Just real briefly, the width of the driveway, I can't find a dimension on that.
We're at about 19 and a half measured.
That works. I found a dimension, I just can't read it.
Can I get a motion on the home construction?
Move to approve with comments such as the redoing the driveway profile.
Well,
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous? All right. Move on to item number 6, 53 Rocky Ridge Drive. New construction request.
Rocky Ridge Drive.
All right. On to the comments. Here we go. Oh. No north arrow on your site plan. I believe that, yeah, minor oversight, but I believe that the north is facing up. Is that correct?
Yes, that's a rookie
Based-
move by the designer.
I'm thinking based on my drive-bys and the way Rocky Ridge goes. All right. Has spec sheet been submitted? Yes, it has. It should be in our Google Drive here. Here we go. Oh yeah, so the spec sheet is part of the application, and so it should be down here at the bottom. Oh,
It's not filled out.
oh, this isn't right. I know let me check here because I'm sure I scanned in. We had the scanned in correct one here. My guess is that we, as I receive the new files, we put them in and then delete the old ones. And maybe I put the new one in and then deleted the old one. Here it is. Yeah, that's probably what happened. I'll drop it in there. All right, so yeah, there's two. So I delete this one. Here we go. Sorry about that, folks. So we do have updated spec sheet now. Retaining wall samples, concrete if needed again.
This was another one we added in after our meeting.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, similar sloping.
So on those paint colors, I was just noticing the siding has a couple of different siding finishes. Are they all going to be the same color?
Yeah, we're gonna do the body one color with a separate trim and including, the fascia and barge board and everything. And the siding detail with the same paint color, I think breaks up the visual nicely on it.
So the second story part of the front where it has vertical siding with vertical
Yeah, the board and
line
bat,
will be the same color as the horizontal siding.
correct.
Okay.
All right, recommend removal of the 4 large trees closest to the proposed retaining wall. Let me hop over here now. Oh. Again.
Connor, I'm assuming that retaining wall will be the same retaining wall that you'll be using on the other properties?
Correct. That
Block.
would be for any of ours.
So we're talking about removal of the 30-inch fir, 30-inch cedar, 30-inch cedar, and the 26 maple. Those 4.
Yeah. I mean, always it's acceptable to start digging and see if you actually encounter
Mm-hmm.
roots. It's always possible that you won't, but to me, it looks kind of unlikely that you'll not encounter any major roots.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
We can always have an arborist come out too. When the excavation's been done, take a look and that's kind of moving forward on these things too. It's my opinion that any tree evaluations, I mean, they should all be done by a certified licensed arborist.
Except that our policies require those tree protection barriers.
Right.
And
Right.
there's no way they can build that retaining wall, I'm guessing, unless those have remarkably small trip lines.
Right. If we get into it, then we can make the general case for, just say remove them right now, or wait. Do we want to do a wait and see approach?
My opinion,
evaluation.
Pardon, Keith?
That was just my opinion, to wait and see after you've actually out there grading, digging, seeing what's going on. Bruce, what's your take? Yeah, you're muted.
Thanks. I had the phone ringing. I turned it off for that. They look like they're going to be awfully close to the house to me, but if we're going in with the block and not digging in a big retaining wall per se, they might be able to get by without it. To me, I wouldn't want large trees right where it's going to overhang the house. And those are all going to be up close.
I also noticed 2 of them, and I wish I could remember which 2 started kind of diagonal, the trunk the tree isn't quite centered over its
The
point of
cedar?
origin. Yeah, I don't remember which ones they were, but anyway, because of our tree protection fencing rule,
Mhm.
I think we can, or possibly, I'm just speaking for myself, that we can approve their removal just based on that.
Okay.
First,
I know that it's probably more economical for the builder to do all their clearing at once. All their
Absolutely.
tree removals at once.
personal preference for me is always if to remove the ones near the house and then replant so that the new trees grow up under the new condition and not being set up for a wind throw situation. So I always lean toward the removal closer to the house and just replant something that'll be that'll grow with the new openings, with the new environment.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't exactly match with a lot of people on that, but large trees on new openings always make me nervous.
Mhm.
Yeah, I you know, as a civil engineer, I look at all these trees as giant sponges for the rainwater, so I hate to see them go. But after talking to that property owner who had the tree fall on his deck, and Linda Bradley's tree problem, hazard trees are a even worse thing.
You want to make a motion to approve then?
To remove
Yeah.
those, improve removal of those trees.
Yeah.
I'm for that.
Anybody want to second that?
Here, I'll do that.
All in favor?
I'm good with that.
Aye.
Unanimous? Approval of tree removal?
And then looking at your topography there, your retaining wall is probably gonna want to curl around on that lower corner of the house again, like it did before.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
And you
mean,
might
you'll
be able to
see
shorten it up on the other end too.
Yeah, you'll probably see that when you cut, but
Mhm. Do we want to require replanting of those trees?
Yes.
yes, I think so.
A 1-to-1 ratio?
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't that much room on the lot.
Mhm. It'll probably be back here.
Mm-hmm. You'd
Right.
better.
And while we're on this drawing, what's the fire pit? Is that a wood burner, gas?
I think it's
No.
existing on the site.
It's not, it's just like a wood, I think, intended for wood fires.
Mhm.
The property owner in the back seems to have kind of appropriated that area for their use.
Mhm.
Oh, so is that gonna go away?
Most likely.
I would love to see that planted into some nice tree right in the middle of that fire pit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
On back on the trees here, this 12-inch alder also, if your stormwater is going to be cutting through there,
As well as the way they have
that
this
should be removed.
sanitary sewer. Is that sanitary sewer location just,
Right here.
is that accurate, or has that just been put in there as a placeholder?
It's a rough placeholder entry point.
Okay. So maybe the 12-inch alder. Well, if your stormwater pipe is gonna go there, then I think it should be toast.
Mhm.
Do you think there's enough space on that side of the house to work around that and keep the tree?
I'll be able to bring
Yeah,
that
I
over
mean,
here.
you want to show the outlet from the stormwater farther away, yeah.
Is the county gonna want to keep that tree? Alder, when they get larger, tend to start falling apart on us anyway, so.
Mhm.
You know, that's a case where removal and putting something pretty in front would look better.
I'm open to that.
Sure.
Maybe we want to add that one to our list.
I
Do
guess
that
we
5
could-
trees for removal
Yeah.
Okay.
addition.
Do we amend our previous or add a new one?
Yeah, I would just amend it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Got that in there. Okay. Two more comments here. Landscape plans should show retention of revegetation, native plants everywhere. I think similar to our last one. And I think we also had this with the original site plan and landscaping where they had, where is it? So the original plan, right? They had their native vegetation in the clearing limits. They had grass. And then after our meeting last week, they've gone back to update the landscaping plan, and they've removed that clearing limit, and they're showing native vegetation all around. So similar to
More or less, the grass is being replaced with replanting.
similar to 18 Granite Circle with the landscaping showing asking to show where the replanted native is going to be. Make those.
I can have them go back to the
Here.
original landscape plan and alter it from grass to replanting native. And then
Relabel.
lines there.
But also revegetate ditch is better than gravel in the frontage.
No, that will remain. I'm just saying from a visual, we'll go back to the one that showed the grass as far as it illustrated the line in the back
Yeah.
where the break was, and it will then state to revegetate native rather than grass where the dots
Right.
are.
Right,
Right.
I'm just saying that also shows the gravel in the frontage, so.
Yeah, no, I hear you. We'll keep the revegetation for sure.
Okay, and then finally show culvert under driveway and strip drain at bottom, emptying the ditch. Clean out, dig the ditch. Yeah, make sure you're have that 12-inch
Yeah, I mean, do the
catch
best.
basin with clean out.
It seems like not all of them have geometry that allows for the full 12-inch cover over a 12-inch culvert. I don't remember this one specifically. But anyway. And the other thing, the neighbor's culvert seems to be encroaching a little bit in front of your, which means that it'll be really close to yours. I know Bruce Bishop was always a big thing, never more than 40 feet of culvert without a clean out. So in between the two culverts, there should be enough room for them, the crews, to clean out the culverts out. Or they can be connected if they have a catch basin with grate per that policy section that we have.
Okay,
My
so
comment.
we'll get
Reference
that.
that.
We'll get that. Show culvert and
Drip drain on the
Drain.
right side.
or swale on an updated site plan. All right. Those are the comments. So the notes I have so far: removal and replant of the 5 trees at a 1-to-1 ratio. Extend the retaining wall on the right side, or sorry, left side, and show the culvert strip drain on the site plan. And we'll keep an eye on our culvert install. Do we want to approve and our temporary parking?
I'd prefer it on all of them. Yeah.
I think it fits the slot fine, doesn't it? I'm trying to remember that slope there. I think it would help. Going up slope.
Sorry, Bruce, I couldn't hear your last comment there.
I'm trying to remember that slope. I think it should fit that ditch pretty well and clean up pretty nicely there. So unless I'm remembering it wrong. So I would move to approve the temporary parking, construction parking.
Yeah,
Get a second on that?
I think so. So Bruce and Keith?
No, I was looking for a second.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a problem seconding. All in favor? The temporary
Aye.
parking?
I think so.
Miss?
Okay. All right, those are the notes and the comments.
I do have one further question, and it's not just this property, but this builder seems to have 9 separate projects going. And we were talking about requiring a separate insurance policy for each property instead of one aggregate. Where are we with that?
For our insurance requirements, we have, I think it's 1 million. And then we are also requiring, where's our insurance requirements? So we have 1 million for their general liability. And then we also have an additional 1 million as an umbrella or excess policy. And let's see.
So in response to your question, Tom, we're asking for umbrella policies, which we were not doing before. So thank you for asking that question. I can assure you we are covered this year.
Okay.
Yeah, and the DJGJ does have a 2 million general aggregate. So they are 1 million over our minimum.
All right, good.
Okay, anyone want to make a motion for property, 53 Rocky Ridge Drive?
Sure, I'll move to approve with notes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? All right, very good. On to item number 7, 38 Harbor View Drive. And Susie, while he's looking that up, I have a quick question for you. On this particular property, the neighbor next door is taking great liberty in making part of his property their property. Who handles that kind of situation where they have a trailer parked up there, they've excavated on his property, they have cameras on trees on his property?
That's an interesting situation. If they want to just let me know about the situation, I'll be happy to start figuring it out with them.
Okay, very good. Connor, you heard that, right?
Yeah, we also have excavators if needed.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect.
I just wanted to quickly ask Joel about the one we just finished, 53 Rocky Ridge. I assume that met the lot coverage. That was the smallest. Oh no, never mind. Never mind. The smallest lot is, well, either 53 or 38 Harbor View. They all met the requirements, right? The lot coverage of 35 and 50.
Yeah, 53 Rocky Ridge is at 27.3% property coverage with 65.8% of open space.
Great. Sorry.
Oh, no. So our 38 Harbor View comments. Now let's try to get through these as soon as we move along here. Okay. Yeah, again, the new application checklist say 2020 instead of 2021. I think when these were all started, they had the 2020. Spec sheet not filled out, nor checklist. I have my. Let's double check that. I know I do. It is updated in the Google Drive. This is the one here. This is modified June 7th.
Yeah, I see it on the June 7th one.
Yeah, originally, so we had 2 copies of these applications that were being submitted. We had, I think, digital copies that did not have paint chips on them, and then we had the physical copies. So we recognized that, got the physical copies scanned in that have those paint chips, and so we have these ones here in the office.
And this one's an electric only also?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, any of the lot to be left undisturbed? Not shown on the landscaping plan.
This is that same topic we've covered. I'll address it all.
Yeah.
All right, what's next? Max height from lowest grade is shorter than max height of building. Yeah, this was something that came up on our initial meeting. I had the definition 2 at 21.5 feet. And the definition 1 at 33 feet. And Connor, were you able to lower the roof line of this house, or what was the?
Going back through my notes right now, seeing what was discussed on it. It's an 812 roof pitch currently. I don't think we've changed anything yet. I'm just looking at the plan now to see. How far down does it need to be? How far over is it for either definition?
For definition 2, 1.5 feet over.
Okay.
Then definition 1 is 3 feet over. So if you could lower it 1.5 feet,
Yeah, we can do that.
You're safe. Let's see. I mean, this one says your maximum height from highest grade is 19 feet 7 inches.
But it also says the max height is 26 feet 7 inches. So what are we reading here?
Mm-hmm. So it's taken into account the. Oops.
That must be the slope on within either the property line or to finished grade within 10 feet.
Yeah, it might be easier to label the elevation of the top of the home, so that then if we do things like retaining walls that change the grade, we can, the numbers don't start being wrong.
Yeah, another example I'm showing to builders and requesting is that they show a dimension of the height 10 feet back or 5 feet from the house, showing the height.
Well, I guess where I got this was east elevation. It's labeled max height at 26 feet 7 inches, but then it says from the lowest grade it was 19.7. So if it's lowest grade, that means it's got to be higher. I thought you were looking at that. So it's just a labeling it on that thing. It's correct on the one elevation line, but The wording's flipped on the east elevation. Oh, okay, the one below the north elevation, sorry. If you zoom in on that, you'll see it's saying it's from the lowest. I'm looking at that and I was confused. Your max height on the, yeah, right there. Yeah, the labeling's different from up above. I can see what they were doing now, but I read the lowest grade and it made no sense to me.
So we can go back and double check on the height here. And make sure you're within the, let's see, do you have the elevation of your height? So it's measuring this from highest grade 19, and it's saying your upper finished grade is at 455. But really the finished grade highest at the rear property line or 10 feet away is about 460. I read about here 464.
You can't go off the lot. It has to be the property line if the property line's closer.
Pretty smart.
Maybe I calculated that wrong initially. I might have to go back and revisit that.
So what is it at the property line there?
The property line we're at about, where I've marked is about 464. If the height of the house is 26 and 7 inches above plus a foot. Well, you have to get out and measure the house.
To really be sure, it's nice to have an elevation label for the top of the house or a distance from the top of the house to like another elevation that's labeled like the garage floor elevation. You know, so that we can tell where it's intended to be, how tall the house actually is. And then when we make edits to the finished grade, it doesn't affect, we still know where the top of the house is, you know?
Yeah, we don't have the requirement to have the elevations at the top of the house. We do at the finished grade at each wall, which they do have. And so we have to make those measurements, you know, with a ruler, or we just do some simple math.
So it is good if they show that elevation, or if they just show the vertical height to some numerically labeled elevation, so we know, like the garage slab floor, you know, or something like that.
Yeah, well, they do have listed here, max height from the highest grade is 19 feet 7 inches.
But that looks like it's mapping outside of the property line now, which you can't do that. If that label is on the site plan is where they're measuring to.
So 455. 5. Well, it's something I can revisit calculations. We can talk to Connor about it and make sure he's within the limit. If you want to move on and discuss other things, or do you want to solve this right now?
It's very important to make sure that we are within the limit. That's one of the hard points.
Okay, we can solve it right now. All right, so we have to So we can use this property line height of 464. We have
This is our ACC coordinator.
we have our upper finish grade of 455.
Bruce? I think there's enough labeling here, enough like redundant labeling here that it'll take a little time to sort it out, it looks to me. Like they've got these maximum heights labeled on different elevation views in different places.
Yeah.
And to iron out all of that is going to be a little bit of a job. And maybe we can't do that on the
They
spot.
said that we're getting a bunch of files.
Okay. It's just if they can't get it within the height restriction, it's gonna have to come back.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and give it back to him.
What's the address?
That's a good question.
311 Sunrise Drive.
Okay, do you want to come talk to me real quick? I'll put the meeting on hold. Hey guys, it's gonna be just 1 second. I apologize.
Yeah, Karen, you're right. An elevation on that peak, instead of just labeling it max height, probably would make it simpler to check.
Our policies don't specifically require that, so the other option would be a dimension to something that's not likely to change.
Yeah.
Like the garage floor slab elevation, we do require. So if they dimension from there, that would work too.
Maybe it's just me, but on the driveway cross section, it almost looks like the garage floor slopes the same as the driveway. I know that can't be.
Yeah, I think that's the ground line next to the house that they're showing.
It almost looks like slab.
Yeah, it does look funny. It's kind of, it's not really a section, it's kind of a rendering.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. They're maxed out on driveway.
They're overmaxed, I think. They're at 30%,
30?
30.
Yeah, this is where a driveway cross section that matches the appendix would be helpful, because it's just the average slope on that. Again, it's not showing what our max slope is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, folks.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. So I think where I was originally measuring the 21 a half feet is going from this 19 foot 7" and adding in that 1 foot 8" and getting rough, yeah, approximately 21 and a half. So, but if our property line grade is 464, then that gives us a 10-foot difference. So then we are within the height limit
On that back.
on that back. Yeah. We're within the 20-foot.
Good.
Yeah, I think they need to clean up the plans and only show the height in one place where their definition is.
Yeah, I'm requesting builders put in a dimension showing final finished grade 10 feet from back of the house and that have that height dimension in there to make it easier.
Yeah, and be careful, put that property line limitation in there too. That if the property line is closer, they can't be measuring from some other property.
Right. Okay, where were we? Driveway at 24%. Yes, I measured it at 25%.
That's interesting.
Where are we at here on our?
I measured it at 30% max.
I think we had to add this dimension onto here. Looks like, is that going to say 25%? There it is.
Well, that looks to be the average going the whole length, but if you take into account the leveling at the ends a little bit, you know, based on the appendix, what's our max look going to be?
Well, this part is, I believe this is the Harbor View Drive, this section of the road. So from the setback of the house to the property line, that 40 foot. You know, that is going to the edge of their pavement.
Yeah, I saw that. I scaled that as 39 feet. And the average elevation at the middle of the driveway on the edge of pavement was a little bit lower, 439 and a half. And with the 9 feet at 23% and the 3.5 feet at 18%, I got 30% max slope.
Okay. Let's see.
The garage slab is 450.5, and having the driveway at 450 means a 6-inch, you know, mismatch between the driveway and the garage, which I don't think you'd want.
Which would be a little bit much as a step.
This one. I just asked.
Yeah, I was just measuring the 10 feet rise over 40 foot, and that's how I got to the 25%.
I have an issue with both of those numbers, actually. I think the 40 feet is, if the survey is correct, or the site plan is correct, then it's more like 39. And the 10 feet is a little more like 11 feet.
Let's see. Well, my measurements put it at 39 feet from the garage, from that wall to the edge of this dimension here, from the garage to the edge of the roadway.
Is
About
there no
39
apron? In front of
39
the-
feet.
There's no apron in front of the garage on this one?
No.
No. So we're pretty steep on the driveway. Connor, are you there?
Yep. Okay. I'll see what we can do there. We're just gonna have to go back to the drawing board on the driveway, obviously.
Okay.
Maybe the
Sounds like
garage
it.
floor is sloped so he can get in there without high centering his little cars.
Mhm.
Sorry.
All right, so Connor's going to address the driveway.
Okay.
Couple of the comments. Neighbor to the north, multiple incursions on this lot. Yeah, that's going to be friendly neighborhood stuff here. Where's our always fun. Area seems to be an old disease pocket. Most trees seem to be said to be retained or dying in or hazard trees and should be removed and replanted. No hemlock should be replanted in this area.
Let me guess, that's Bruce.
Yeah,
The disease pockets even extending beyond there. If you look at there's a lot of dead hemlock and stuff around in the area. That thing is kind of died back and has grown back to hardwoods, which is normal for a disease pocket. But removing what's there, some of the cedar we looked at are growing on old nurse logs and stuff. They're not going to be stable, especially some that aren't marked there. That's along the property line on the north side. Really, that whole thing should be cut. And it ought to be replanted with some young cedar or something.
mm-hmm. So
And the only one I didn't specifically look at was that one, 14-inch cedar in the middle there. That's the only one I specifically didn't check.
okay. We can, do we want to remove that cedar and request replanting?
I'd say if you want to keep that one cedar you marked, great, and remove everything else.
Oh, keep this cedar.
Keep cedar only because I didn't look at it, but that one up there is undercut majorly from the, and that's dying. And that's the one that the neighbors have a security camera drilled into the tree. That lower 24-inch hemlock is definitely dying in a hazard tree. And there is some other cedar along the property line that's not marked there that's on them that are going on nurse logs and stuff that are going to fall toward the house to the left. So those need to be removed.
Do you think they're in the
Yeah,
Sudden Valley?
I didn't specifically look at that one cedar that you circled in the middle, the 14-inch. That might be the only one that could stay.
Okay.
So the other ones, are they on the Sudden Valley land, do you think?
No, they're all, I'm just looking at what's on him. The other ones that are dying in the area are neighbors' yards and stuff. So the area should be cleaned up.
So remove the hemlocks, retain the cedar.
Take a look at the cedar. If it's on a nurse log, maybe the mapping got moved from the ones we looked at. If it's growing, if it's the one growing on a nurse log, that needs to come out, because that thing's it's rotting out from under it and it's gonna make it unstable. And the one we saw was leaning toward the house.
Okay. So if we do
So that's
remove
just a
those,
question on that one.
sorry, was there a question? Or what?
No.
Oh.
I was saying that one cedar is the only question mark. I'm not really sure the way it was
Okay.
mapped. If it was the one we looked at that was going to be a hazard tree.
Sure. So we'll remove trees, remove hemlock, cedar to cedar on the nurse log, questionable.
The map, the 14-inch one's the questionable one. I really don't recall that one. One you got circled in green. Yeah.
Do green and do we want to replant then?
Yeah, and that back zone there, should probably be undisturbed except for the removal of the tree. So yeah, I'd put some plant 2 or 3, either cedar or hardwood.
Mm-hmm.
Maple?
Even maple would be all right.
1-to-1 replanting.
Yeah, it's not that large of an area, and it's park strip next to it.
Okay. What's
And
next?
there's a group of trees that aren't marked on this plan as well. That's between the existing home and where this house is going. There's several trees together that are dying and rotted out. There's a tree that fell and broke off, that branch broke off.
Mhm, we can have those,
Essentially everything.
clear out all the dead
Yeah.
trees. Okay.
This is one you'd almost be better just starting from scratch on for trees and replant.
Sure. Okay. Clear out all dead trees, probably the cedar, replant to a 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the maple and the alder? Well, the alder isn't on the property, I guess. The maple down next to the left side of the house. 10-inch maple. I guess it's not a big issue in terms of hazard because it's clearly leaning away from the house. Towards the green belt.
Yeah.
It's not a visual asset, but
It's so close to the house, that's one of those things I'd just automatically remove and do something else with landscaping. It's toward the front, but I don't think that was a hazard for the house itself. My personal preference would be start over on maple, but
Okay.
of course, if you cut the thing off, it'll resprout so fast you won't know what's going on. So.
All right, let's move on to some of Karen's comments. Retaining wall sample missing. I think probably concrete's proposed, and we'll do those concrete blocks again, the landscaping blocks.
Yep. The same mention with the way that retaining wall stops short, and you still show the steeper slope on the corner of the house there. Every single one has that same steep slope extending. Yeah. It's something you want to look once it's cut.
We're happy to extend that over.
All right, and then similar comments. Culvert on our driveway, strip drain. Same comments about the landscaping plan. Skipping around here a little bit. We'll verify those. And then, calculations for driveways shows a variance will probably be needed for steepness. Approximately 30% slope after transition areas are accounted for. So let's see what you got. Wait, am I on the right? Oh, we talked about driveway steepness already. And then for the finished grade at the rear left corner of the home to be 45.5. Retaining wall must extend. Okay, we did that one. Okay. Those are the comments. So far I have driveway steepness. We need to figure that out.
What's your solution on that as far as how are we going to solve the driveway problem?
Lower the house.
Yeah, that's not our solution to make.
Yeah, that's
We can lower the house.
Lower the garage at least.
so my notes right now. The driveway steepness is an issue. Remove trees and replant to a 1-to-1. Clear all the dead trees. And then similar comments. Culvert and strip drain. Continue the retaining wall. And landscape plan updates.
Hey, Joel, on the site plans, could we get them to add a compass?
Yes.
It's on their topo survey, but
Yeah, that is one of the things that we have. The north arrow on the site plans should be on there. A lot of most of these, and they do align them right so that this way it's north, but not all of them. Some of them you'll see the north arrow is pointing this direction.
yeah, that's the way it is on their
Yeah.
topographical survey, but it'd be nice to have it on this C1.
Yeah, so we'll make that addition. That's an easy thing for them to put on there. Add compass north arrow. Other things though, let's see. We're at 28.3% of property coverage. We have 63.2% of open space. Setbacks are all good. Seems like the driveway is going to be the biggest issue here.
Yeah. And did we discuss, is there a strip drain at the end of the driveway before it meets the road?
I have that in my notes to add.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't see it.
Along with the culvert.
So I did figure what I thought their top of driveway elevation would be if it was 25% or 48.8-ish. So that's only a foot, that's a foot and a little bit. Well, your garage slab should be lower than 450.5. $449 would be perfect.
We want to make a motion on this new construction.
I kind of think we have to defer until they get the driveway figured out.
Anyone want a second deferral?
I'll second deferral.
All in favor of deferring?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. And then Connor, I would suggest too, talking to Susie in the meantime to start working on the neighbors, getting their property off of your property.
Yep. I agree.
Okay. Got all your notes on that one, Joel?
Yep.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 8, 16 Big Leaf Lane, new construction request.
All right, first comment from Bruce. Similar, you need a lot to be left undisturbed, not shown in landscaping plan. That coincides with Karen's comments and previous comments on the landscaping, showing limits of excavation, soil disturbance, replanted native. Getting it up here. We're on to 16 big leaf.
Well, yeah, this was a really interesting lot.
That was an old logging road going through this. Isn't that right?
That's what they're saying, and it's definitely,
There's some evidence of it.
yeah, creates some interesting slopes.
Looks like it'd be leveled pretty easily, though. It doesn't look like we got a rock run through there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it would be good if the designer, if the builder can level that out.
We are happy to. We plan to.
Although it extends off the property, so then there's not, you can't entirely fix everything.
Yeah, they can't really mess with that, can they? It'd be nice.
Also, I thought one of the plastic markers in the back had been relocated. Like it didn't make any sense where they had it. I didn't find a pin there, but it was way too close to the other one.
We can go back and verify that. We did receive a call from the neighbor, concerned call talking about tree removal stuff. So we can follow up on that. Maybe it was tampered with and moved. Is it this rear?
The one at the top of the page
They can't do that.
looked like it was halfway down, like it was too close to the other one in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure they didn't move the rebar,
Yeah.
but I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
This one up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would have been the other neighbor than the one I think is probably upset about the tree.
Mm-hmm.
I ran into the neighbor at 18 when I was there. She came out and wanted to know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Connor has got some neighbors to meet.
A couple of them.
And we'll talk to the neighbors too. I have a voicemail from one of them. We'll address their concerns to help you out, Connor.
Appreciate it.
All right. So I mean, similar comments on the landscaping plans, putting tree protection. Connor is well aware of that. We've got. So let's see. So preventing creation of hazard trees.
So I want to talk about this one, guys, because I have a very upset neighbor located next to this home that SVCA is now going to have to deal with. He is really upset about a tree coming out. I don't know if any of you have spoken to him.
Which address?
I believe he is at 17. His name is Nissan.
17? That would be across the street?
I'm not sure what his address is. His name is Nissan. Have you guys spoken to the neighbors?
When I was there, a woman at 18, which is the one down the page here on the left, on the right of the lot.
Mm-hmm.
The woman there, she didn't say what her name was, but she challenged, what I'm doing there.
Yeah.
And,
That was 18 Big Leaf. That's Nissan's place.
Yeah, he's very, very upset. So we need to be careful when we go out on these site visits, what we say to these people, and that they understand who you are, because a lot of the time they don't seem to understand who you are. So we have visitor badges now, and we do need you guys to wear those when you're out, okay?
That
Great.
tree on the southwest corner there is probably the one she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's trying to say that we can't touch that tree, that no one can. He's very upset. I tried to explain, well, they might hit the roots, making it unsafe for you in your home. He doesn't seem to care, so.
Yeah. Whew. Unless they can move the stormwater tank to the other side of the driveway.
That's like a really, really big tree.
Mhm.
Are we suggesting an arborist report on that tree? Sorry.
His point of view is it's his private property that the tree is located on, and if they hit the roots, then they are liable for it. Now, if the roots are on their property, I would say he doesn't have a very good argument.
Well, that's why I was wondering, maybe an arborist report. That's a note I had made on there. Recommend we get an arborist report on that tree. If the arborist said it needs to come down, then it needs to come down.
That'd be
Or
my
the-
Figure out a way.
That'd be my recommendation, anything like this, to have an arborist licensed certified report. If we are proposing removal,
I'm just wondering if they moved the stormwater collection tank to the other side of the driveway, if we could avoid any damage to the roots.
it could be a possibility.
They also have the driveway going in.
Mhm.
There's a combination of a couple issues with that tree.
And the house foundation, a tree that big, you know, I don't know what the canopy area is, but the house foundation might even be close enough to be a problem. I'm not sure how far down they have to dig there because there's a big hump there. I forgot what the foundation elevation is. I have to look at it.
You want to make a motion for an arborist report?
I don't know that that will solve. And we can say leave the tree, fence it off.
Yeah.
In the end, if he demands he wants it to be left, we can get him to sign something saying that he does not want it removed and then it becomes his liability. But that's really the best we can offer him.
Yeah, that's about the best.
I don't do bigger and try to go around it.
I
So
wouldn't
we
think the
can-
driveway excavation would harm the roots. I wouldn't think they'd be that close to the surface on a tree that size.
Yeah.
My recommendation would be that Connor or DJ and DJ would want to get an arborist report. And if the homeowner next door decides he wants a tree left, irregardless of an arborist report, then he signs something. That way they're covered, and the arborist said it was going to be damaged or could be. So that's just my recommendation.
But then if it's not removed and the tree falls on the new house, is it then his liability as well?
It would actually be his insurance that would have to cover it because the tree would be falling from his property.
Mhm.
And
He would sign off saying that he has accepted the damage to the tree and he's accepting responsibility for it
yeah,
based on the arborist report.
if a tree falls, the owner is not automatically responsible, but if they were negligent because the tree was dangerous and then it falls, then they are, responsible.
Right, and that
Legally.
information will come on the arborist report that says this is the dangerous tree, has been damaged, recommend removal, and then at that point, he's aware of it.
So the question though is, can stormwater be moved to a different location, and can the power service, the stubs are right there, and maybe are routed around as much as possible to try to protect that tree since it is on the neighborhood?
That would be a question for the designer, right? The stormwater
Yeah.
designer.
We're
I would
not,
have to go back to stormwater to get the approval to put that system elsewhere. As for the power, I think the intent is to have it on the side of the garage rather than by the front door.
Mhm.
I think there should be a
Susie,
good
this is
faith.
another issue as well with the house on the left there, lot 29. They seem to have a good stockpile of trash, tires and debris and whatnot piled up there right next to where this house is going.
Yeah, we got a lot of those in Sudden Valley. I'm currently pushing for new compliance software so we have a functional situation.
Yep.
I think we should try to do a good faith effort in trying to protect that tree. And I really think we should look at trying to move move what we can away from those roots. Because it's,
The thing
I
is,
think
the
it-
driveway probably needs grading. It's not going to be, you're not going to be able to follow the existing ground line there.
Yeah, this one's
And
not as steep as the others.
no,
And on one of these, I was looking at the geotech report. It was for 81 Grandview. They had a on-site septic system designer do some borings. And interestingly, they had a layer 12 inches deep that included tree roots, and everything below that, no mention of tree roots. So if you're going to be bothering the first 12 inches of the soil, most of our Pacific Northwest trees, you know, you might as well be digging to China.
Yeah, you're right about the grade.
I don't think we can save this tree. I really don't.
Well, we can offer, we can offer we can talk to the neighbor and say, hey, explain the situation. If we're gonna build this house as is, it's gonna create this hazard tree. We can offer to pay for its removal right now. If you want to keep it, you have to, we'll have an arborist come out, give an evaluation. If that arborist evaluates it as a hazard tree, then it's going to be your responsibility at that time moving forward. You have to accept it.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd be happy. I don't know.
Yeah.
The builder would be willing to offer to plant something, pay for something to be planted and
offer a
on there
replant.
that they might like instead. I don't know.
Yeah, probably what they're liking is the size of the tree. So planting a new one in its place probably isn't going to satisfy them.
At this point, with all the discussion, then I'm saying an arborist report should absolutely be mandatory, be part of this build.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I can get Chris out there in the next couple of days.
Yeah, he's great. All right, let's move on to the next comments then.
Real quick,
Yeah.
Joel, on that, and Susie, are you guys running with the communication with that neighbor and figuring out the best solution?
I am currently trying to communicate with him. We'll see how it goes. I queued Joel in on it this morning. I sent him a voicemail from the guy. So we'll be working on that today. I'll let you know how it pans out. Hopefully we can just get him to understand.
Yeah, I appreciate it. If you guys run point and let me know if you need anything from me.
Sure, we'll deal with the neighbors best we can.
I'm still thinking though that we should try to be making a best face effort to try to protect the tree and not run something deliberately through. We know that's gonna wipe it out, such as the electrical lines and the stormwater. So if we can't come up with an early agreement on that, I think we should really be looking at trying to get that stuff moved.
Yeah, I agree. A good faith effort is always good.
Okay. So stormwater relocate attempt first. Arborist report,
Yeah,
either way.
yes.
Okay. All right, then the last, no comment, show drainage swale in the driveway. Or strip drain. And then, so it's the driveway. And then finally,
The
last
strip
comment
drain
here.
thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whose comment was that?
I think this was yours, Karen. Please show a drainage swale in the driveway profile per appendix A. Consider lengthening the swale to avoid potentially trapping water in the shallow ditch along the frontage.
Yeah, they have a, not much of a ditch there.
You could do a swale.
Um,
You know, swales are a little bit nicer than a strip drain, I think, from a maintenance perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And if they're allowable based on the slope of the driveway.
And the optional suggestion was, the way that cross section is now, it's a gentle slope down from the pavement,
Mhm.
more of a, like a swale than a actual ditch, and then fairly steep up. If they build the driveway with just that 3.5-foot swale, they may block water from running along parallel to the road there. They are near a crest in the road, so maybe it won't be much water. I don't know.
Okay, I've got that in my notes, driveway swale.
Is that something that can be determined in the field and we go with a strip drain or swale based on best application?
I don't think you need a strip drain. It's a question of how wide the swale. Well, if you do the standard 3.5-foot swale, then the lowest point here is 15 feet away from the pavement. So if you only go down for 3.5 feet and then start going up, there's not room to put a culvert underneath your driveway there. That ditch is really, really shallow.
So what do
So
you,
you can't really put a culvert under your driveway there. So instead, what you can do is either try to regrade that so the lowest point is closer to the road. So it lines up with where the bottom of your swale is. Or something. I don't know how much water ever accumulates there. I don't live there. I don't know.
We can always hose test it too, to make sure water's running off that. We would just want to make sure that water does not run onto the roadway. Is the goal of the swales and strip drains.
Yeah. But for the owner to have a little swamp in front of them is also not so pleasant.
So we can evaluate that ditch on whether or not a culvert. Sounds like culvert probably not going to be required.
I don't know. They'd have to
Is that
make
what I'm
one that
hearing?
was 2 inches high and 6 feet wide. I don't know.
Okay, we'll follow up on that too.
is this
Yeah.
all stuff that we would address in the field? I'm guessing once we have a visual on it and see what we can do.
Yeah, make sure you at least put in a swale.
Yeah, at the minimum swale culvert to verify field. Okay, and the last comment. I believe you cannot raise the grade at the left rear corner of the home to either 584.75 as shown in the north elevation or 583 as shown in the east elevation without creating slopes steeper than 2:1. Only about 15 feet away towards the left, it will be necessary to meet existing grade of 570. Here, I'll put the comment up here. Only about 15 feet away towards the left, it will be necessary to meet existing grade of 570 at the property line. And the same 570 contour line is about the same distance toward the rear property line. And it's part of a steep downslope there. So we're talking about north elevation, really. The north elevation in the rear left corner of the home here, 584.
Yeah, those two should match.
So this finish and this finish grade on the north elevation and this one do not match.
East elevation would be the next sheet, I think.
Sorry. East here.
Yeah. Other side, I think. Wait a minute, the rear, wherever that is.
Yeah, so it's looking at the, this is the rear, this right rear corner. This is
Oh yeah,
the
you know, you were right.
right corner.
I think you were right.
So so we've got it marked as 584 on this one, and then over here it's something different, 583.
Yeah.
So there's a foot bit of a difference there. Let's see. Well, if we are creating slopes that are 2 to 1 or greater, they will require some jute matting and replanting. That's in our policies. Yeah.
But I would recommend, given that it's shown as the higher point on the back there, you just drop that elevation down.
Okay. So make the elevations should match.
And we're comparing north and east, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. Then let's see.
How long does geomatting last?
That's a good question. I think eventually it will, burlap stuff will, decompose. I think it's temporary so that the plants can grow into it and take hold until we get some vegetation on the slope.
Yeah, I don't think plants will generally
Yeah, I don't know how long they last though.
fix that problem.
All right, well, that's the last comment. So for this one, I've got, similar things, landscaping plan updated. Arborist report on that tree, storm rotter relocate if possible. Attempt that first. Driveway swale. And elevations match.
And I would prefer that they not have steeper than 2 to 1 anywhere without a retaining wall.
2 to 1. Two to 1 slopes need retaining wall.
Those block walls are not that hard to build.
Mhm. Okay,
Okay, can I get a motion on this?
I'll move to approve with comments.
Second?
Is that a request? I'll second it.
All in favor with comments?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Awesome.
okay.
All right. Joel, you have anything else?
Whew, that's it for us today.
Thank you, DJ and DJ.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah.
thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good meeting, everybody. I'll see you in 1 week.
Well, okay, we still need to talk for a second.
Sure.
We had some new business regarding Karen's policy changes regarding the construction requirements for submittals and application process. Did everyone get a chance to review those? Do we want to look at it now or talk about it next week?
No, it looked pretty much like the same thing, or real close to what we approved a couple months ago.
I just added that stormwater designer thing.
Yeah,
Well, that's something we wanted to talk about. In particular, Glenn was wanting to know if maybe we should be waiting for the land planner to come on board to actually do our policy changes in regards to that kind of stuff.
On that one though, if the county's saying that we're supposed to be making sure that that our landscape plans are meeting their requirements, I don't think that can't wait. If county expects us to do it, we need to do it. I think that was part of what Karen added, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Mike Kirshner didn't know about that when I talked to him about it a little bit ago. But it's in that document that was signed around by the county executive and I don't know who signed it up for Sudden Valley.
Do we have a copy of that signed MOA? Because the copy that was sent to me was not signed.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't see any signed either. I don't know if that actually ever happened.
I guess a records request would be in order for that. Probably Sudden Valley Records has that signed version, but I mean, we've been doing it because the Wilson engineering designs have supplanted what we had before. All our new constructions are not meeting the what we're showing in our appendix. They're instead showing Wilson's phosphorus filter medium thingies.
So I guess the question is, so we don't really know. I mean, if it's something we're supposed to be doing or not be doing, right? As the county said they're going to do it, and we think we're supposed to be doing it. Joel, you have a little more insight on that, do you?
And so I talked to the county, I talked to Michael Kirshner, and you know, his comments about when they look at the landscaping plan and when they do their inspections, what they are looking for is, you know, trying to, excuse me, trying to maintain native landscaping in the area and just matching what their stormwater report square footage is aligned with the landscaping they have, and that all they really care about is, excuse me, well, he said he doesn't really care what goes into that landscaped area. You know, they're just making sure that the square footage matches the stormwater report. But they do want to see, and they do make requests to builders when they come out, usually near the end of the build, and ask them to replant native vegetation, sword ferns around the perimeter of the building. That seemed to be the gist of it. So the worksheet that they've built from 2021, the Whatcom County Planning Worksheet, he said that's kind of a general guide for the builders, but it is not a requirement for them to really look at. But they're not really enforcing it, but it helps them get an idea of a planting schedule based on those square footage requirements. Does that make sense?
It does. So with Karen's recommendation, then we would be enforcing that, or double checking the county then.
Mm-hmm. Right, and yeah.
Because I know when I went through the process there, the county was referring to the landscaping plan as something that Sudden Valley was in charge of and had to make sure was correct. So unless that's changed, if we're supposed to be matching that, I think we need to match it.
That is what the memorandum of, or the MOA
Agreement.
agreement. Yeah, that's the A stands for. Yeah, that's what that says in the on that page 21. I believe it's page 31 of the actual PDF. That's what it says under the recommendations. It also says that Sudden Valley is not going to be evaluating the stormwater plans. But I guess we do need the stormwater report to verify that square footage of allowable landscaping.
Yeah. And I don't want to be responsible for making sure they got their plans right, but we should take the numbers, and since we're in charge of the landscaping plan, so I think we should bring that forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's make the motion.
And Karen, that's what you had in there, right? I'm trying to remember, and what we'd already passed.
It was what we already passed, plus that one bullet point, which I don't have in front of me. I should have.
So I move to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, it's unanimous. All right, and then Susie, I had something real quick for you. I was wondering if it's possible to get the gates back on our packets for tours. You used to put the gate numbers, gate 3. It just made it so much easier for routing where we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
don't know how hard.
can. Do you want them like grouped together by gate?
I don't know. Can you do that, or is it mess
I've
up
been
your?
putting them in by when we received them. So I've been doing
Yeah.
it by gate. And I guess maybe you would like it by gate instead.
Whatever's easiest for you. I mean, it's good to have the gates on there. So I don't care if you keep them the same way. It would
If
just
I
have the
don't
gates.
put them together, then it really doesn't make any sense because you just have a bunch of random addresses with a bunch of different gates. So if I'm gonna put the gate on there, I'm gonna group them into gate numbers.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Susie?
But I'm fine either way, the gate number by itself or.
Well, I mean, it just wouldn't make any sense because it would be a list of gate numbers changing. So then when you tried to put in the addresses, it would just switch the whole list for you.
Well,
Right.
it's gonna
I look at the item number and line them up that way.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily look at the address.
To tell you the truth, if you've got the, unless you actually take the couple hours I've been doing to create some kind of a tour listing, I'm gonna sit down and copy and paste your list into a spreadsheet, and I'm gonna do my own sorting and stuff. So if you put the gate on there, it just gives me an extra sort where I can start.
Okay,
You
cool.
don't have to rearrange, and then because I have to resort everything and do it anyway to create some kind of a logical order to look at.
Works for me. I can add gates.
Okay.
Thanks.
Perfect. Anything else, guys?
Oh, it's not a new construction. It's one of the ones we deferred.
I need to run
We
if there's
sort of-
something else for me.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Thank
I
you.
know.
All right,
See you
see you,
next
All right,
Joel.
Joel,
Well, thanks, Joel.
time.
This is the one where they wanted to do something with their driveway to get more parking. It's in gate 2.
That's
Oh, the
on,
one that, I thought you guys had kicked that to SVCA.
And we did a kind of a email vote, but not everybody weighed in, so I'm not sure whether we,
Oh, that one.
Was that gate 2 or gate 3?
that one was
That
gate
was
2.
on Strawberry Court. wasn't it?
Woodpecker, I think, Woodpecker.
Oh, okay, I was thinking of the one on
oh,
Strawberry.
well, they came back to tell us exactly what they wanted down there, which
No,
I
this
don't
was-
think they've reapplied anything.
Just recently, you didn't see it, I don't think. We voted by email, some of us. I went out there
Oh.
and talked to them, and I actually misunderstood what their whole application was. Anyway, we should get back to them with an answer, I think.
I think we just voted by email on Woodpecker a couple days ago, didn't we? Earlier this week.
Okay. I don't know if we had enough people voting is the question.
Yeah, what, do you recall the address? What was it?
Something Woodpecker. Let me
It's
look.
Woodpecker is what I'm looking at.
Which
Yeah.
Woodpecker?
Because the only
I-
parking one I remember was the one on Little Strawberry.
There is 6 Woodpecker and it's an open space calculation for a deck. Is that what you're talking about?
No, we thought we would need to do an open space calculation based on their having a deck that didn't show up on the county assessor's website.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that
But-
was one part thing, wasn't it?
No, that's different. Okay, I remember. That was one you were talking about, just expanding the entranceway
Yeah.
to it, giving them a full 20-foot wide driveway.
Yeah, because
Which
they kept dropping off the edge.
Right, and that's what I thought that they asked for. But what they were actually asking for, I guess, was to close the whole ditch up between them and their neighbor and create a parking space there, which I don't think we should approve.
Well, I would agree. I would think that would be Sun Valley Maintenance.
Yeah,
And then again, we don't give anybody specific use over Sudden Valley. If the maintenance does allow them to gravel it, that's open parking for anybody.
You're not supposed to be parking on the street anyway.
Yeah.
so I wish I were readier with what to say,
Huh.
but I told them they could widen their driveway to 20 feet. And hopefully that would be enough for them and extend their culvert that much.
Yeah, that's what we discussed.
Can we,
Yeah,
okay, we did pass it then.
I thought so. I thought we
thought
had.
we
another-
Then Susie should know.
Okay, so passed except for SPCA approval for the gravel and the culvert, and that will be determined as to the drainage in the culvert, I guess, by SPCA. That's what you want them
Well-
looking at?
What we passed was something much more modest than what they asked for. It
Okay,
was just, they have a 15-foot wide driveway at the right of way,
okay.
and they can add 5 feet to that and still have a standard 20-foot driveway.
And so we're
and
okay with a 20-foot driveway?
Right.
And then extending their culvert long enough past that so they can have some flat area next to it.
That wasn't on their request though. So I would say let's pass the request as it was submitted and we approved it. And if they want something different for parking, they can
Well,
resubmit.
I don't think we want to pass what they requested because it was completely unclear what they were asking for. After showing up and talking to her, basically if you looked at their request, it was really hard to understand. And they actually were presenting 2 different options. And, I would have said, make this clear what you actually want to ask for and resubmit. Because they showed 8 feet in a direction. Is it this way or is it that way? Which way do you want 8 feet, So we did, I guess, pass something by email? Since there were, I guess, 3 of us
Yeah.
voting.
And it, yeah, and you had a very specific synopsis and narrative on that too. So, I mean, that
Yeah.
was not following the original, but was hopefully getting them what they needed by enlarging the apron and the
think-
call.
So it'd be nice if Susie sent a letter out that reflected that, if she can understand what it actually is.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to do me a favor, maybe note that to me in an email so I can get it exactly right.
Yeah, if we approve their request and they think they're getting approved for something different than what we approved, then it's.
Right. And I don't know, I want you guys to know that SVCA maintenance contacted me yesterday because 351 Sudden Valley Drive had started work there on a retaining wall, and maintenance didn't want any work to be going on without your knowledge. So you can thank them for keeping us updated. I let them know that 351 Sudden Valley Drive was approved, but it's nice that they're looking out for us.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
everybody.
guys, I move to adjourn. 12:33, I think.
Which day?
A lot, but we got through. That's great.
All right,
Thank
great.
you, guys.
All right.
Have a good day.
You're welcome.
Later.